That was the abaya collection from Golden Orchid Boutique. Ladies and gentlemen, sit back and relax. At 7:30, we have Dr. Udi Abshakra from Canadian Medical Center. حبة هذا 1000 وهذا 1000.
Yes, madam.
Same?
Yes, madam. And hand painted, madam.
It's okay, mahal. Oh, do not forget to tag us.
لهم عليه شمر. I believe the fountain of youth is found from within. And it's not a water fountain, it's an electrical fountain. It's your brain, spine, and nerves, what we call the central nervous system. You know, you can live days without water, right? Many days without food. You can live a few minutes maybe without oxygen. There's people that can hold their breath for a certain amount of minutes, 20 plus minutes, let's say. But you can only live seconds without nerve supply. And that's why when you sever a nerve or sever the spinal cord, you're either paralyzed, paraplegic, or quadriplegic, right? Depending on where in the spine that happens. So the fountain of youth is found within. It's not a water fountain, it's an electrical fountain. It doesn't flow from top to bottom, it flows from top to bottom and from bottom to top. So, how do you keep your fountain of youth young, flowing, so that you can stay young and healthy? Well, think of it this way. What's the most important part of your body? Wait, before you answer that, would you agree that the most important part of your body should be the most well-protected part of your body? Is that whether you agree with that? That if it's not important, it's not going to be well-protected. But if it is important, it'll be the most well-protected. How many agree with that with a show of hands? Okay, beautiful. So, what's the most well-protected part of the body? Your heart? It's protected by skin, muscles, maybe some fat, rib cage, fascia, but that's it. I can puncture quite easily, right? With a butter knife, I can puncture it. Okay, so it is well-protected, but not the most. Good guess, though. You have a headache? You have a question? The head, the brain. Just kidding. Yes, it's the brain, right? It's protected by a motorcycle helmet up here. And then what? Spinal cord. Protected by what? Fakarat. That's not a swear word for those who don't speak Arabic. Vertebrae, right? They protect the spinal cord. So we know that the brain is protected by the skull. The spinal cord is protected by vertebrae, fakarat, because it's the most important part of the body. Now, why did it make the spinal protection, the vertebral column, why didn't we make it one solid steel column of bone instead of 24 individual bones? Why did we do that? Why is it broken up? Exactly, so you have flexibility. Can you imagine, this is a catwalk, can you imagine if I walk down the catwalk with a solid column of bone? It looks something like this, right? Imagine that. Imagine you wouldn't ever be able to twist or turn or bend. And so that's why it's broken up into 24 bones. So we have flexibility. But here lies the problem. Because to gain flexibility, we also increase the risk of vertebrae moving out of position. And when these vertebrae in our spine move out of position, it interferes with the flow of our electrical fountain. And so we're less than 100%. The electricity is decreased almost like you'd have bad internet connection at home. So the brain wants to talk to body to brain, and the internet is reduced. Yeah, the flow is reduced to some level, and so you run into problems. And we know that if it's affected in this part of the body, it's going to affect the neck and arms. If it's a little lower down, the heart, the lungs, the liver, every part of your body is innervated or is given life through your central nervous system. That's why this is such an important fountain of youth, because if you can keep your spine young, you can keep yourself young. And that's why the yogis say you're only as old as your spine. So before I was going to say what kind of problems or what kind of issues cause spinal problems, what kind of things in life cause our spines to be young, to wear down. So how many have heard of tooth decay before I go into that? Tooth decay. Everybody, right? Show of hands. Who has heard of spinal decay? Very few people. Well, guess what? Every human being and every animal that has a vertebral column, these bones sticking out here, has a decay or a wear and tear process, except for two animals. There's only two animals on the planet that have young spines from birth to burial. In fact, they die because of something else, not because of spinal problems. What's the first guess? Snake is a very good guess, but it's not the right answer. Imagine their spines last forever. Imagine your car lasted forever. When I speak at schools, I imagine kids, imagine your toys lasted forever. They get all excited. What was your guess? Turtle. Okay. Let's put that on. Let's park it. Who's got another guess? Crocodile. Now that's, okay. Just think about it, right? Marine animals, that would be a really good guess because they're buoyant, there's less gravity in the water, less effect on their spine, less load. So that is a very common guess. I'll give you a hint. Well, first let me tell you what all of your answers have in common. The turtle, the snake, and the crocodile. They're all wrong. Okay? The first animal that has no wear and tear of the spine, from birth to burial, flies. Come on, shout out your answer quick. Are you? Flies. It flies. Okay, it has wings. It's not the bird species. Good guess though. It's the bat. Yes, Batman has a spine that lasts forever, and Catwoman too, maybe. So that's number one. The second animal, I'll give you a hint, is very slow moving, slower than a turtle. It has to have a vertebral column though. So it's a sloth. So the bat and the sloth have no wear and tear of their spines from the time they're born until the time they die. We don't know why. Is it because they move slow? Is it because they hang upside down in the case of the bats? We're not really sure. So what can you do to keep your spine from wearing down? First, what do you think causes the spine to wear down or causes spinal decay? Carrying heavy things? Okay, yeah. So I'll put that in the category, let's call that trauma. Yeah? So carrying heavy things, falling down, slipping, right? Boom, got one. Excellent. The first chiropractor 100 plus years ago, 1895, said he called this category traumata, which is trauma. Nice. What's another reason?
Malnutrition.
Malnutrition. Yes, that's what he said the second one was. He called it toxins. So for sure. So we got nutrition and we got trauma. There's another one. There's a big one that you might be so obvious you forgot it. It's big. Posture. Do you mind if I put that under trauma? I'll call that micro trauma. Yeah? Like the way you use your phone, the way you use your computer, the way you sleep, the way you sit, right? The way you drive, the way you lift things. That's called micro trauma or repetitive stress. So we got trauma, we got toxins, then we got one more. Trauma, toxins, and a big one right here. You gotta go up a little higher in the body. Inside the coconut thing we're talking about earlier. Mental stress. Not physical stress, mental stress. That's probably the biggest one. You know, my first year when I graduated as a chiropractor, I opened my clinic in Toronto. And my father, I'll just tell you a funny little story first. My father walked in and he said, "Son, I'm very proud of you." I'm like, "Thanks, Dad. I really love what you've done with the place." I'm like, "Thanks, Dad." He's like, "But it's missing one thing, Habibi." I'm like, "What's that, Dad?" He's like, "Patience, this place is empty." I said, "Dad, you gotta give me time for people to find out about what chiropractic is." And we were surprised at how many people really didn't know what we are and what we do, and how many people don't know what spinal decay is. But in my first year, what I noticed is most people didn't come in because they lifted up a heavy suitcase. Most people didn't come in because they were using the computers wrong and then hurt their neck or their pillow's not right, or because they were, they had malnutrition or weren't eating good, or because they put on weight and that was stressing their joints. Most people came in because of, yes, stress. In 1967, the Rahe and Holmes, two psychiatrists, studied over 5,000 medical records, and they listed all these common life stresses, right? And if you look at the top 10, in every single one of them, relationships are there. That is the number one stress, in my opinion. I have a saying that says, nothing stresses people more than other people. Bingo. So this is how the spine wears down, from these three things. And you can see that it applies to every one of us, right? There was a study done in 1926 in the University of Pennsylvania. And this doctor asked the question. He said, chiropractors claim that by taking care of this part of the spine, you can help with heart problems, and this part you can help with lung problems, and this part you can help with stomach problems, right? Back and all this kind of stuff. So he's like, how about we look at people who already died, dead bodies, cadavers. We know the cause of death. We know this group over here died of heart attacks, and this group over here died of lung disease, and this group over here kidney problems, and this over here stomach issues and pancreas issues, and that kind of stuff. What if we do an autopsy study and see what their spines were like? Here's what they found. This was published in the New York Times, 1926, University of Pennsylvania. What they found was this group of people who died of heart attacks, every one of them, there's 220 structures that they looked at, humans and animals. And what percentage of the people who died of heart problems do you think had spines that were not healthy, or what we call kinked or convex? They weren't straight. What percentage? 50? 90? 80? 100? Okay, maybe there's a relationship between the heart and the spine, but it can't be related to lung disease, can it? They also looked at that, and in the, let's say 25 people that were uncovered, what percentage of them had unhealthy spines in the area where the nerve goes to the lung? 100, good guess. So your guesses are starting, the numbers are going to probably start going up when I ask you the next category, right? So kidney disease, 100. Stomach, 100. Gallbladder, 100. You name it. It was 100% correlative study. And when I speak at medical conferences, and there's a group of medical doctors in the audience, I would usually get someone that says, hold on a second. There's a counter argument, and they're right. These people over here that died of heart disease may have been the heart that kinked the spine. Would you agree that someone can have a heart attack, fall to the ground, and the falling and hitting the ground can lead to a vertebrae going out? Trauma. So it's the heart that causes spine to kink, not the other way around. True. So you know what? I'll give you 50% of the cases. I'll give you 90% of the cases where organ causing the spine to go off or to be unhealthy. Now the question is, who do we check? Whose spines do we check? Everybody. So when do you think the first checkup should be? What age? Child? Newborn. Why though? They're not on the phone. There's no mobile in there.
That's your zero level. You're going to get it.
Right? There's no mental stress when a kid's a month old or day old. There's no malnutrition in there. They're connected to mom via the umbilical straw that feeds them. Mom stress translates into baby stress. That's a really good one. Yes. But the real first spinal trauma is going to be in the birthing process itself. C-section, manual delivery, forceps, vacuum, all that stuff sometimes puts upwards of 100 pounds of force on the neck. It takes approximately 120, 150 to decapitate. That's a lot of force. And if the force is not completely symmetrical, if there's a hand that's pulling more than the other, one way or the other, I delivered both my kids myself to make sure that I was, that they were safe. They were safe then, but they're not safe having me as a dad, I'll tell you that. But once the baby is, once the baby comes out, again, the process of delivery can cause trauma to the spine. That's why we believe, hey, check a baby at birth. And then there's varying opinions as to when the next checkup should be. Every month. I'd say probably 6 months would be the next checkup. Okay? Minimum at 6 months. Because now you got breastfeeding on one side more than the other. You got changing the diapers, lifting up the legs more one way than the other way, right? These things can add up. Especially if this is assuming there's no trauma, right? No fall or anything like that. I do know kids have been dropped. So, and then when the baby starts to stand and walk, that would be the next checkup. Didn't see you over there. Because now the baby's going to start falling on one cheek more than the other cheek, right? So again, they'll do spinal problems. That's at about a year, right? Depending on whether it's a male or female. Usually girls walk a little younger than men. So Thereafter, a consensus around the world, if you ask what we call preventative care chiropractors, wellness-based chiropractors, would be to check the human being once a month. To check your eyes once a year to once every 2 years, check your teeth once every 6 months, and then check your spine once a month. That'd be a good minimum number. The profession, my good buddy is the chiropractor for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, an American football team. And these guys get checked and adjusted probably on a weekly basis before and after practice, right? Because they want to be at their best. Many high performing athletes are under regular care. So I'm going to stop talking because I can go on forever. That's pretty much it. That's my message, is that the spine is so important. It wears down. It might be related to organ failures, so it's important to be checked. And it's important to be checked on a regular basis from birth to burial. When we can't help a patient is when they've reached what we call end stage, when the two bones, because they've worn down so much, they've welded together, or they've fused together. At that point, we can't treat the spine. We can't loosen the vertebrae. They're stuck permanently. That's where my father was when I checked him when I was 23 years old. I went to see the chiropractor. I fell in love with this concept that the body can heal itself, that the body has a fountain of youth. The fountain of youth is your nervous system. Free these vertebrae, free the nervous system, watch the body heal itself. I fell in love with that. I was sold. We all went in for checkups. My brother, my sister, their families, their kids, my mom, my dad. And the only person that we were not able to help till this day was my father. Because when he was checked, he was at end stage, some call it phase 3, phase 4, where the bones actually fuse. And my dad's dying words were haram. It's a shame that people don't know about this. And the only reason why I had to leave my family on a Friday to come here, which I'm very blessed and feel honored to do, by the way. And for you that are hearing this for the first time, it's a shame because our professions are not as rich as the pharmaceuticals. That's why we can't get on major TV, can't get on radio. You're not going to hear us all over the place. You're going to hear the message of drugs and the message of medication, the pharmaceutical-driven brainwashing that the body is somehow weak, inherently weak, and you need to be dependent on drugs. So, who has the first question? Yes, do you have a mic? Do we have a mic floating around here? Just speak, if you could stand up so everyone can hear you through the mic. And I'll repeat the question.
How do you protect your spine?
How do you protect your spine? Yeah, we were just talking backstage with somebody. The first thing you can do is reduce weight. Because approximately every kilogram of weight you gain is going to lead to 4 kilograms of stress on your knees. So we know that weight stresses joints. So that's the first message, is reduce your weight, get to your ideal weight. In fact, I've written a book on nutrition. It's called Etology. And what we talk about is the idea in life is to get to your ideal weight and stay there for life. Minor fluctuations are natural. 1 kilo here, 2 kilos here is natural, right? You know, you get an injury and you gain a couple kilos, or you don't go to a bathroom for a day or two, or you go on holidays and you eat a little bit more. You know, you're gonna go up and down too. But there's people yo-yoing. I'm talking like 10 kilos over the summer, and then they lose it over the year, and then it's another 10 kilos next summer. It's up and down, that's stressful. So that's the first way. The second way, I'll give you guys a quick thing you can take right now. If you look at this young lady right here, don't change anything you're doing, okay? If you look at this young lady right now, see, she's holding the camera up because she's videoing, right? This is how you should be using your phone when you're checking your messages. You should be literally, okay, I'm just gonna see if anyone called. I'm gonna literally bring it up like this. It should look like I'm taking a picture, because you'll avoid the chin tuck, which will save your spine. Okay, a little tip. Also, if you could all please just stand up for a quick second. Everybody, please, even the guys videoing, gals, it's all right. Come on, stand up for a second. Beautiful. Okay, there's more of you than I thought with the light. I couldn't see you all. But the idea here is that every 20 to 30 minutes, you want to be standing up. Because as soon as you stand up, you take the weight off the spine and you put it on the legs. It's a good way to burn calories too, when you're standing up and walking. The future is going to be standing up in the office. It'll be standing workstations. And all you got to do is stand up for a minute. Please make it. All you need to do is stand up for a minute. You're driving to Dubai, it takes you an hour, let's say, if you're going really fast, an hour and a half. Stop at the 20 to 30 minute mark. You don't have to stop for an hour. Stop, get out of the car, like my dog used to do. God rest his soul, little guy. He used to get up and he would walk around the couch and then he'd sleep again. Every so often he'd get up and walk around and sleep. That's what we need to do. If you can just walk around the car, just for a few seconds, Good to see you. You know, that would be a good thing. If it's not the summer, you know, if let's say it's the summertime, you can't get out of the car, and you know, because it's hot, it's a volcano in this country in the summer, right? Although this year maybe not with all the seeding of the rain happening. All you do is just put your seat back. Stay in the car, pull over, and just put your seat all the way back so you're at, you know, as close to a flat as possible. That'll reduce stress on your spine. That's the second thing. So the first one was nutrition. The second one was traumata. Now stress. I could speak literally for, I'm not joking, 8 hours on this subject. Because stress is a big one. If I was to give you one thing, one little thing, I think I'll give you this one suggestion. Increase your tolerance to cold. I was one of 4 people this morning swimming at Bateen Beach. The temp, and listen, I'm telling you, take it from someone who was afraid. I grew up in Toronto, Canada for 30 plus years. I hate the cold. I'm scared of the cold. No one is more scared of the cold than me. And you. So what I did real quick is the way I started swimming, it was 19 degrees, it's not even that cold, but it is quite cold for someone who's not used to that. I'd go to pools at 26 degrees at the officers club, it'd be too cold for me. I paid for a membership, didn't even use it. So I would just, when you're taking a shower every morning, at the end, for the last 10 seconds, turn it to cold. Then 20 seconds, then 30, then 40. My mom's a senior, she's 70 plus, and she's doing this now. That was the one thing I would recommend for your mind, because if you can wake up in the morning and put yourself in an uncomfortable state for a few seconds to minutes, whatever someone throws at you throughout the day is going to be a step down from that. Trust me. There's nothing I can experience that I didn't experience this morning that's going to hurt me more than that cold water. Swimming 1 kilometer, when I came out, I was freezing. You know? So that would be my three little kind of tips, okay guys? How to use your phone, stand up for posture, reduce your weight for nutrition, and cold exposure to awaken that, you know, resilient part of your mind. Did you have another question? You were saying something?
Yeah, you suggested having a checkup once a month. How long is a checkup?
How long is a checkup? What is involved?
What's involved?
Okay. So a checkup is simple, right? So first thing we can do you want me to demonstrate a checkup? Yeah, who would like to come on stage? Okay, you, but you can't video me anymore. You've been videoing the whole time. Amazing. Come on up here. I don't know how is it stairs? Perfect. Okay, good for you. All right, welcome to the catwalk. What's your name? Maria. Can we give Maria a hand? All right, Maria, can you face this way? And then, yeah, just take a couple steps back. Okay, yep, right there's good. Okay, that's good. Perfect. So guys, the first thing we check is shoulder height, right? So I'm gonna put my fingers on a bone right here on either side. You can feel like I'm pressing the same point on either side. And you see, can you guys see straight ahead? Can you see they're quite even? You can see that, right? Many times we do a checkup and it looks like this. Yes, thank you, that's perfect. Yeah? So the shoulders can be off. How do the shoulders reflect, how does that tell us about the spine? Well, I'm just gonna stand just real quick to get a back view here. You can see if I do this, that this shoulder's lower, which means the spine is curved this way, or kinked, what we call scoliotic to one side. That's the first thing we do. The second thing, can you please face them? Excuse me, face me. Face me so you're back. And just take a step closer so they can all see you. And then I want you to put both hands just here behind your back. Okay guys, you can see here her shoulder blades. Okay, so these are the shoulder blades. They're almost perfectly even, right? This one might be a teeny little bit lower. Usually you're right-handed. Yeah, usually right-handed people have one a little, it's usually lower on the right side. Shoulders usually lower on the dominant side too. So that's the second point, right? Okay, the third one, if you can just bring your arms straight ahead just like that. And what we do here is we go right to her pelvic bones. And you can see right here, again, they're even. Thank you so much. Welcome. A little bit on his vertebrae.